or the other.
Yep.
Plus, I was always distracted by that horrible wig she wears throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. It's the reason why she has it.
I know. It has a purpose later,
Yes.
and you won't find out till the very end. But I was
Yeah.
like, is nobody going to mention that she's wearing a big wig here?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I can't not see it.
I agree.
It's like a guy with a bad toupee.
It's like you have $40 million. And you couldn't get a good wig? It's just like, I wasn't going to make this comparison, but James Wan, to a degree, reminds me of Tyler Perry.
Oh, really?
It's like, you're a good businessman. Tyler
okay.
Perry owns 1/8 of Georgia. It's like, you're successful, but your movies are shit. They're all really bad. Or, with James Wan, it's like maybe not as bad as Tyler Perry's, but it's crazy to me. You've worked with so little and made so much, and yet you can't afford a good wig for my girl here, Maddie.
Hey everyone, I'm sure you heard by now, Double Toasted is heading out on tour, bringing you a night of comedy, games, and some interaction with the audience out there. Get tickets by going over to doubletoasted.com or going over to X1 Entertainment. Hey, we'll see you soon. Hey everyone, support our Patreon, which helps us to continue bringing you our live streams, videos, and podcasts while bringing you new content such as exclusive live streams and animated shorts.
A lot of people have very diverse opinions on this movie. And I'm very curious to hear what Martin has to say about it, and what you guys have to say about it. I do want to do a spoiler section later on in the stream for it, but kind of give you an idea of actually just say what we're actually talking about, and that is *Malignant*, latest horror film that just came out this weekend. The latest horror picture from. I mean, he likes to call himself the new master of horror, or he's many people have said that. He likes to say people have said that. I do want to take a moment before we get into the details of *Malignant*, because I want to talk about James Wan. He is an amazing businessman. He created $2 billion franchises for Warner Brothers in the Saw franchise, really popularized the torture porn subgenre, created the Conjuring verse,
Right.
Which has gone to great commercial success. Both Saw and Conjuring, very mixed reception critically and sometimes very negatively. Directed, I will say this, my favorite Fast and Furious movie in Fast and Furious 7. Really enjoyed that film. That was him.
Okay.
And then, of course, most recently, other than *Malignant*, he has done *Aquaman*, which, again, who would have thought we would live in an age where the *Aquaman* movie, who was, comics. I like comic book Aquaman. You like comic book Aquaman. But he's regarded by the mainstream, by a lot of people, as a joke. And yet that movie outgrows Justice League by I don't know, $400 million. It's like $1 billion movie almost, or practically $1 billion movie when you incorporate, VOD sales and everything. He did the unthinkable. He made Aquaman cool. Yeah, that's what you want to say. But I just, I've never been just a big fan of his films. I'm not a fan of torture porn. I'm not a fan of ghost movies. It's never been haunted house, spook house films, whatever you want to call it, whatever subgenre you want to call it. It's just never really appealed to me. But I will give it up to the man. I will respect him for what he's been able to create. And, for 2 decades, he's built 2 different franchises and made himself and a lot of people. He's made careers. Sure. And so before whatever we say about this particular film, I want to give the man his props because he absolutely deserves it. What's so interesting, though, about *Malignant* is that it looks like the winning streak might be broken.
Really?
For Mr. Wan. This is a really big, at least last time I checked, pretty big commercial failure for Warner Brothers.
Is it? I just read that it did well.
It did well?
I'm telling you, man, every movie comes out, and I'll read one article that says it does well, and the other one says it was a bomb.
Because maybe that's the case. Maybe Warner Brothers is like, hey, because this is one of those day-and-day releases on a streaming service. This came out on HBO Max. It is in theaters right now. You can watch it however you want to watch it. Maybe Martin and I will tell you how you should watch it in a second. You can take our opinions. But I think it had like a budget of $40 million, and it's like I heard it underperformed. I've read that it underperformed. It's only made $15 million. Okay. And usually, his stuff, he keeps it inexpensive, which is smart, and it makes on like a lot of, money. Kind of the Jason Blum method.
But if they spent $40 million, that's not keeping it small.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like that's a substantial budget for like a horror film. I feel like, because usually when you think of a horror film, they're cheap.
And that was a thing when I was watching it. I was like, They actually spent money on these.
Yes,
effects.
they did. There's a lot of CGI. There's a lot of choreography, and they did multiple takes, and they filmed on a lot of big, expensive cameras in this film. And so, yeah, this cost some money. So I think this is not going to be one of his biggest commercial performers, but we'll see. Everyone's very split in this movie. Critics have been split. Audience, I think, even more so. I think the audience reaction is very divisive when compared to critics. But let's go ahead and watch the trailer.
Gabriel, is he your imaginary friend? Imaginary? He's the devil.
Breathing down your neck. There it is, everybody. Malignant. In case you didn't get from the trailer what this is about, is you have this woman named Maddie. She is seemingly being haunted by this figure from her past that is only known as Gabriel. She is seeing people killed in other areas, and this Gabriel figure is maybe responsible for it. Maybe it's visions. Maybe there's more going on. I will say, from this trailer and another trailer that they released, there's like 2 trailers and teasers and things, is that the marketing for this movie is not showing what this film is actually about in any capacity. Because I think what you see here, and I want to get your opinion on the marketing for it, is it looks like, because it's billing itself as this a new type of terror from James Wan, but in the trailer we're just seeing the same old shtick. We're seeing all the haunted house stuff. We're seeing people going, "What was that?" Turn on the lights and things and going around, and you have some guy that looks like Ju-on or the girl from the Ring or whatever. Yeah. And it looks like the same things that we've always seen from James Wan for the past 10 years of the Conjuring verse. And so I think people are just like confused, like, okay, what? This is not what I actually saw. And maybe I think that's why a lot of people just didn't go to the theater to see this, because I've seen all the 9 Conjuring movies that there is. I don't see how this is any different. What's been your impression of the marketing?
But see, I look at that and you say, like, people might look at it and go like, oh yeah, I've seen this a bunch. But that's what every horror movie, and they still go in droves.
True.
I mean, just looking like something's going to be scary is enough to get horror fans to go.
Yeah.
They just want to see the kills and have a reason to make themselves scared. So, and just looking at that right there, I was like, well, it didn't lie. All that stuff happens.
This whole film, I think it's 3 different movies, where the first third of the movie is a straight haunted house ghost thing, where James Wan indulges in all the tropes right at in the first 10 minutes of the movie, all that stuff. There's something around. You see someone go to the kitchen, or someone turns something on, and someone goes to the kitchen, turns it off, and they come back and someone turned it on again. And it's like the same thing. There's something sitting on the couch. They turn a light on and they're magically gone, which I want to talk about. They just turned invisible. I want to talk about Gabriel's power set, because it changes in every version of this movie he's in.
I know, but it's I feel like there's an explanation for it at the end, but when you look back, you're like, no. You were going by what you just said, what you're showing me. No. No.
I didn't forget. We didn't forget. Okay, we watched this movie. Don't try to trick us. Yeah. The first third is a ghost haunted house film. The second third is a whodunit, where I think most of us figured out who it is. We figured out a good portion of the twist. Maybe not all of it.
Oh, there's no way you figure out all of it.
But yeah, I agree. But I think to a degree you do figure out, okay, I kind of see what's going on. And then the last one is an action comedy.
Right.
It's
like Evil Dead almost.
Yeah, it is Evil Dead, where it's like, we don't care about subtlety anymore. It's just balls to the wall, literally balls to the wall, or in the case of the movie, vaginas. And we're just going to tear people apart, and there'll be no explanation for it, and you just got to sit there and just soak it and take it in. I found the last third of the film to be the most entertaining. I don't know if it was maybe for the intended reason, because I was laughing so much, but I don't feel like the first 2/3 were they're like having to wait to get to those first 2/3.
Because you're right about breaking it down into thirds, and that first third is so. It's almost generic. It's just like, I've seen this so many times. It's not really that interesting.
Nope.
The second third is interesting in as much as it's a whodunit, and we're kind of following to fairly incompetent detectives.
Oh my
God! On the case.
Shawn Moss are on the case. Are they going to solve it? No.
The last third of the movie, the third act, is just the goofiest. It's just it's. Yeah. I mean, I hate to just use the word stupid. It is though.
Martin, you can use that word. I'll allow that word here.
Allow it to where, you're right. I laughed out loud. But it's also the best part of the movie.
It is.
I was like, all right, this is something completely different than I've been watching before.
Yeah.
And it is so dumb, and yet it's so entertaining. I'm just kind of like, I don't even believe I'm seeing this.
I think that's for most people, and maybe that's why this has been such a divisive film for so many people to go into the theater and going like, "Well, this is not the movie I was shown in the trailers or anything like that." And for some people, like, that's a surprise. That's great. Other people are like, "No, I want my ghost haunted house movie. That's exactly what I want. I don't know what the hell this is."
Yeah.
And it's nothing. I think most people have seen before, mainstream audiences.
But I think hybrids are cool, but they have to. They have to be like
mesh.
They have to mesh.
Yeah.
And when they're broken into pieces, then whichever part you like, you feel ripped off by all the other stuff that was there that you don't like. So whichever third you like, good for you, but you're probably going to hate one or two of the other parts.
Yes. We literally start off at Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
It's the biggest, most CGI-heavy Arkham Asylum you've ever seen. Like, I've never seen a skyscraper asylum before, but that's what we get.
Sure.
And it goes into, like, some straight-up gore and body horror, superpowers.
Yes, it's so sci-fi.
It's very sci-fi.
It's like you're watching Species or something.
Yeah, you know what? It reminded me of a particular series. I feel like it would fit in with a better universe. I will get to that at the end right there, but I was like, okay, this is different. And then, but immediately after, then it's just the ghost stuff. It's the haunted house, and we have to hang out with this character of Maddie, played by, I believe the actress's name I want to say is, if I get this wrong, Annabelle Harris, and she previously worked with Juan, or one of Juan's creators. She was in the first Annabelle movie as the pregnant woman, as the mother in that. And I gotta say, not the most interesting protagonist to follow in. Now, not that she's given a lot of interesting dialogue, or anyone is.
No, but you're right about that. She's not. I found myself not really caring what happened to her one way or the other.
Yep.
Plus, I was always distracted by that horrible wig she wears throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. It's the reason why she has it.
I know. It has a purpose later, and you won't find out to the very end. But I was like, is nobody going to mention that she's wearing a big wig here?
Yeah.
I can't not see it.
It's
like a guy with a bad toupee.
It's like, you have $40 million. And you couldn't get a good wig? It's just like, I wasn't going to make this comparison, but James Wan, to a degrry, reminds me of Tyler Perry.
Oh, really?
It's like, you're a good businessman. Tyler Perry owns 1/8 of Georgia. It's like, you're successful, but your movies are shit. They're all really bad. Or, with James Wan, it's like, maybe not as bad as Tyler Perry's, but it's crazy to me. You've worked with so little and made so much, and yet you can't afford a good wig for my girl here, Maddie. The husband, I want to talk about him. He's not in the movie very long.
No, not very much. But when you talk about Tyler Perry, you talk about a Tyler Perry husband villain who's just nasty and irredeemable and has nothing good going for him.
In less than 5 minutes.
Yeah,
under 5 minutes, you everything. And I don't know if this is like a stereotype or something. Here's the husband. Derek. Good old Derek. Is there something behind me? I don't know if it's like stereotypical white abusive husbands, but for whatever reason, every time I see that, I feel like they're always wearing flannel. He's wearing flannel. He's got dark circles under his eyes. He's like on like a piece of furniture, and he's kind of like disrespecting, like, I'm gonna eat on the bed. I've got crumbs everywhere and shit like that. He's watching typically an quote unquote aggressive sport. In his case, it's UFC.
Yeah.
And like immediately, like when Maddie comes home, and she's like, I thought you'd be working late. And like every line delivery, this guy, I don't want to hate on the actor, but my God, so bad.
I like that actor. It's just this is an unfortunate project for him.
No, and I mean, they literally give him dialogue like, man, because in the movie, Maddie is pregnant.
Yeah.
She's pregnant. And it's established that she's had several miscarriages, and there's literally a scene when they're arguing. Inevitably, they're arguing because I don't know, she walked across him and it set him off or something. Oh, she shut off the TV. I'm watching that, and he freaks out. But like, there's a line that just tickled me where he says, "Maddie, can you just like stop being pregnant?" And
yeah,
I know. No, you idiot. That's not how it works. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Yeah. And of course, what he does next is what you'd expect. Man, but Jesus Christ, you got a hard noggin.
I know. I've never seen a character have to get their head banged so much in one movie.
I was like, you need to go to the hospital. And that's the other unbelievable thing. And maybe you can well, there's a reason why. But I'm like, she's bleeding profusely from the back of her head all the time. And she's a nurse.
Yeah.
She's a medical practitioner. She's like, this is fine. I'm going to go to sleep. It's like, no, you need to go now because you're going to bleed out in your sleep. That's not good, Maddie. You should know this. You went to medical school. And it's like those kind of things, plot holes or just lack of character development that just make the first 2/3 frustrating to sit through for me personally. Who's the big villain? And, we're introduced to them. The Gabriel, as he's called. You see him sitting behind, the husband right here, just stalking, as he typically does. If I were to describe Gabriel, I would say he's a cross between The Crow. Definitely Brandon Lee, The Crow.
Yeah, definitely.
And I would also say The Matrix. I think just Neo,
it's
leather.
The black duster.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
that's his thing.
I thought more the Crow with just shadow in the face where you can never see his face.
Yeah, like the bangs are just constantly covered and everything like that. I'm like, all right. I mean, it's a little edgelord heavy and everything, but it's like it's not really my thing. It feels very 90s, but I'm like, all right. But I just kind of. I got tired of his shtick up until a point when I'm like, all right, now you don't give a shit. Because throughout the entire movie, it just really shows like, okay, whatever the scenario that you're in, he can do anything.
He can do anything.
He can do absolutely anything. And that's what takes the tension out of it for me.
It is. And it's one where you don't know this until you watch it, but at a point-blank range, you can dodge a bullet just by doing that.
Yep. Oh, man, it's The Matrix.
I was like, listen, I'm here. I'm sitting down. I've watched you this long.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go with it.
Yeah.
But you got to meet me halfway.
Yep.
It can't be you dodge every bullet by just a little popping and locking.
And he pops and locks. He does it backwards. I mean, his power set, like, I tried to keep track of them. He could. We're told that he can control electricity. I'm like, okay,
that's right.
He's Electro.
Yeah.
He can explode electricity. He can take control of electronic parts maybe inside a person. It's like it's nuts. He can take over technology and speak through it, like cell phones and radios and stuff, and project his voice.
Right.
He has super strength.
Yes.
He has super strength.
Yes.
And he can punch through people. He can crawl on walls like Spider-Man.
Yes. He can jump from stories up and be okay.
Be fine. Parkour expert.
Yeah.
Parkour expert. Free running, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And there's there was something in the trailer that really bothered me. And because I'm like, and it's in the movie, but like he has invisibility. And they forgot he had that power. I'm gonna go back to that point in the trailer. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I feel like it's towards the end, and like no one is talking about this, and it's like that. I mean, there's already a lot of plot holes. Okay, here it is. There's already a lot of plot holes in the movie, but this like really bothered me that no one else is bringing this up. Here, that's Gabriel. Turns the light on. There's something sitting there, and it got up. And you're telling me that, all right. Okay.
I feel like the one we left out, unless you mentioned it earlier.
No, sure. Please go ahead.
Is teleportation.
Oh, yeah. You just had him do all these things so you can write yourself out of any scenario. And then until the final act where it's like, all right, we can't write ourselves out of it anymore. You just wanted to make it long. And that's the other thing, man. This movie is just under 2 hours. And it does not need to be.
Yeah, it felt long.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 51 minutes or something.
Because I watched it. I got back from New York, flown in. And I should have gone to bed, but I was like, I'll just see what's happening on the internet before I go to bed, and I see people just can't shut up about this movie, hate it, love it, back and forth. I was like, all right, let's just see, let's just watch some of it and see what it's all about, thinking that it'll be about an hour and a half, and I was like, I feel like this just keeps going.
Yeah.
Enough already.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
It's especially the first 2 acts that were long.
That's what I'm saying. It's the worst part of the film. We have to sit through because it's just the stuff we've seen before. It's not until the end where it's like, all right, it's dumb, but at least I'm being entertained.
Yeah.
I mean, when we get to that third act, it's like, okay, listen, these police officers don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
You know, all of our other heroes that we've had in the movie, it's like, don't stand a chance. At this point, you got to bring in the That's who we need to fight Gabriel. That's the threat. I told you all of his powers.
That's
we need
true.
Iron Man. We need Steve. We need Thor. I mean, that's how big of a deal Gabriel is.
That's true.
And, you know, how it ends again, it's just like, well, you know. It's convenience. Who gives a shit? At this point, you're already on. You're on the ride. You're stuck. You're stuck. You can't go. You can't lift up the bar.
That even if you love this movie, that ending's gonna make you mad.
I think so. Yeah, man. And I'll tell you what, sequel bait bullshit.
Sure.
You know, I mean, that's not spoil. I mean, listen. James Wan is like, I create franchises.
Exactly.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Exactly.
So if that's not spoiler. He's like, I'm
sure
gonna create a
if
franchise.
he were to do a TED talk, he would lead with, always leave it open ended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You can always come back for more.
That's right. I think that is what he follows. It's totally inconsistent. You have characters that you just don't like.
You really don't.
You don't. You don't care about them.
And it's weird because it felt like toward the end of the second act they were bringing in other characters, and it's like,
yeah,
I don't. This is what you should have told me early on. I don't care that much.
Oh, I know. I mean, did they bring in a whole character that's completely unrelated? I mean, if you finally figure out who this person is, the tour lady.
Yeah.
I'm like, who the hell is this? And it's like, ooh, look at the big twist. There's several twists in this film. I'm like, okay, all right, sure.
Although there is, in the second act, there is a chase scene that I thought was cool. I mean, it's over the top, but it was entertaining.
And that's because we've been pretty negative overall, but I agree with you. That chase sequence is great, and the last third of the movie, which I found entertaining, the choreography is excellent.
It is.
It's
something
very well
different.
shot.
It makes me wonder if it's that same crew that do the action sequences like the ones in Kingsman.
Oh wow, man! I can see. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It had that fisheye hyperkinetic look to it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think that's the thing that prevents me from, like, this is some old bullshit movie, because there is some cool stuff in this film and stuff to appreciate, and why I think James Wan should go into action, man. I think that's really your wheelhouse. At least that's what I've liked from you so far, the best. With Furious 7. I'd love to see him come back and do. I mean, they're not going to do it. I'd love to see him come back and do the Fast Furious franchise, because like Malignant, that series doesn't make any sense anymore. So, I mean, go ahead and do it, man, at this point. But you're right. I did like that last third for how goofy it was, and there are some good action sequences.
Well, I would say that with all the people who love it and all the people who hate it, I was surprised to find myself in neither camp.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I was just like, well, there's some things about it, like the action that work. Other things that don't appeal to me. I was kind of bored. But what I can say, as opposed to a lot of, not necessarily the Conjuring movies that he directs, but all the offshoots in so many horror movies, that stuff does happen. And there's so many of these movies where they don't spend a lot of money, and as they don't spend a lot of money, they don't do a lot of shit. It's no Paranormal Activity where you're supposed to be scared just because something came out of nowhere or something moved.
But they do that shit in this movie, though.
Oh, they do. Yeah. They do. They do. But it's not just that. It's
true.
The more it goes on, the more stuff there is. And there's something of a mystery here, which is also something to keep you engaged. And yeah, it's, look, you might not like it, you probably won't, but the movie's not half-ass. And so, I mean, there was genuine effort put into all of it. And I know that's a low bar, but this is kind of where we are at this point.
Yeah. Horror films this year, I think. I mean, so often. So, I mean, you kind of wrapped it up. And do you have anything else you wanted to say before you give your final rating?
No, not that's about it. You know, I mean, I can't really, I don't know who I could recommend it to, though. Because it's almost, it hangs in there in those movies where you're like, if it could have been funnier, you just call it a comedy and be done with it and have fun with it. But it just skates just outside of that, and it's just too bad. But I don't know. For me, it's a rental.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the right there with you. Again, those first 2/3 are a little hard to sit through for me. I think it drags on, except for some poor pacing and just characters you don't really care about. But that last third, that is fun. It's fun. It's dumb, but it's like, all right, it commits at the end. It does commit at the end, and I can appreciate that. So I can't give this some bullshit because that just wouldn't be fair to the film itself. Sure. And so I would definitely, I'm right there. I would probably give it like a low rental.
Yeah,
so we're pretty much in the same wheelhouse. Yeah, low rental. But that was Malignant, guys. And I'm just gonna leave you on a single image because we will come back to this. We're going to talk about this this movie again at the very end, but all I'll say is this is what this the twist. I'm just going to showcase the twist.
You got very Donald Trump.
Yeah, I always do that. It's a New York thing.
Oh, is it?
That's a New York thing. And it's like I know I do because everyone says that looks like a Donald Trump. It's like I know, I know. He's ruined so much. Let me keep this. It's great, Chad. Let me showcase this for you right here. But this is what I'll say is what I think of when I think of Gabriel. That's what I think of. And I'm going to leave it at that. And it's gone. I didn't spoil anything. That's all I think of, Chad.